examine yourselves and see that if you take communion, that you're fit for Jesus and Jesus' kingdom. For one leaven will spoil all of the bread and make it rise. Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Mayo, and I'm going to be talking to you about: are you a vessel fitted for destruction, or fit for destruction, or fit for hell? So I'm not going to be judging you guys. I'm not going to be telling you, oh, you're going to hell, oh, you're going to hell. I'm just going to be talking to, quite frankly, just saying that if any of you fit in this category, um, just pray that you're with God and that you change as a whole, even your whole bodies, even especially your face, because God reads the book by the cover, and He reads the especially speeds. He read he especially reads the mind by the cover, and especially reads the mind on the back of the cover. What it's all about, what it's going to do, and he reads through the whole entire book, and he says guilty or not guilty. Now I'm going to be quite frank. A vessel is a vessel, and most of them are fit for hell. Now look carefully at me. Look carefully at my face. Do you see anything that is fit for destruction or hell? Do you see anything fit for destruction and hell? Now we're thinking, oh, okay, I see this curly hair, I see these eyes. No, you have to look carefully. If you have spiritual discernment, great. If you do not, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to examine yourselves very carefully. It's going to be really hard for some of you. I just discovered it today. All right. Now it's not going to be easy. Now, if you're Spanish, look at yourself and say, okay, am I mixed blood with a native person? Then okay, just say that I look like a regular person, or do I look like a really bad culture of people? Because I've seen many, I've seen many, um, I've seen many vessels of destruction in one store today, and I thought, okay. And I looked at one person next to me, and he was a honored vessel, and his shape was beautiful compared to everyone else. Anyway, just look in their eyes, look in their face, see how rounded it is, and then there's that rough characteristic of the vessel's destruction. You cannot describe it, but anyway, I'm going to try as hard as possible to describe what it's all about. There's characteristics of lust in a person. There's characteristics of malice in the person, and there's characteristics of what else? There's also murder in that person, like biblically that's violence, whatever you call it. There's characteristics of any kind of evil, wickedness. I'm not a Satanist. And there's characteristics of Satanism, and I'm not a Satanist. I used to be, but that's different. That's basically you knowing that it's right in the Bible. You understand in the Bible. It's opposite, but still you'll see why it's described that as like kind of the same thing, really, because Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, always like that. So then there's vessels that have purpose to hurt feelings and all that. So if you ever see a lady and she has that look like she's going to hurt your feelings or a narcissist or anything like that, or if you see a guy that's vainly beautiful and or a lady that's vain beautiful or vain beauty and she is deceitfully beautiful, or then there is a person that has a characteristic to hello. And there's a person that is characteristic to I don't know, like what I would say, like corruption. There's corruption and greed. Cowardly, like they're always scared and they're always with, you know. Sorry. And then there's always a characteristic of unbelief. They have squinty eyes and all that. You can see them. I mean, right now, if I were to see a vessel, I can see right through their. I can really see. I can definitely see through them. They have that tough characteristic look or gangster look. I can really tell. Sorry. And then there's like a look of pure evil that you cannot describe. I mean, all vessels of destruction have one thing in common. I'm gonna delete these. And I already did. And there was Maze. There's a lot of people that and there's also the fact that oh my goodness. I got a little distracted by your comments. That can happen, but basically it's not by this characteristic. It's not that obvious. It's not that obvious. Right now I look like someone else, but the long hair doesn't cover it. It's just I have long hair because I have winter hair. Look at this feature. Do I look like a person of Rome that is basically been persecuted like a sheep? I look peaceful, don't I? You better look at yourself, Sub-Zero. Look at yourself in the mirror and see what kind of mocking look you have inside of you, because I've seen other things, but then there's also the mocking look. Obviously, that mock, you're just saying that I'm a Satanist. That's a cool cross, but I don't think it's meant for good things. I like Jesus, but that's not. Okay, so basically, Whistles of Destruction, they look different than I am. You're just trying to say things. I just don't believe this is going to be easier. Anyway, this is. And did you know that, Sub-Zero, that Jesus told me that this was going to be the hardest one that was going to be ever, because I think this was when you came on and you came on the wrong time. So obviously, he knew what was going on. Anyway, basically, Vessel of Destruction has. I'm not a school shooter. Look, if you're a vessel of destruction, you better look at yourself very carefully, because there's a vessel of murderers and there are vessels of rapists, there are vessels of criminals. And I see these vessels all the time on camera, and I say, oh, these people look ugly. They look horrible, because a lady that's been in a gang, she looks scary on camera. And a person that's innocent on camera doesn't look like he has done something horrible, yet he's still innocent. Sad to say. Yet there are vessels that are deceitfully cunning and all that. Yet, you think risperidone helps a lot? You better know that. Because my past wasn't pretty. But that's not vessel fitted for destruction. I've changed. So, get your facts straight. You can still mock me as much as you want, but this is still a message that is getting to everyone, and I am making sure that you. Yeah, I'm going to be frank. Vessels of destruction always mock and always do wicked things. Wicked things are done by people that don't care about others. And there's vessels of destruction. Please, if you're saying you're God, that's called real pride. Okay. So, again, there's vessel of mockery. I believe you have, like, one of these characteristics. Big face, with these happy faces, or one of the skinny people that are tall with happy faces, and that are basically, you have a face of mockery. I don't know how to describe it. Basically, then there's um, you're talking to me like it's a mild thing. Just letting you know. For everyone else, that is not mild, like let's say murderers, that's not okay. Again, okay, I'm gonna have to type this out. Okay. What's going on? Sorry, I just have to give them the message. This dude's being really So basically, vessels of destruction. These people they don't look like each other, but these vessels of light, they have one thing in common: that sheep-like face, like that lamb-like face that Jesus had. He had a beautiful face, and then there's faces like Paul. Look at the little kids. Look at the little kids' Bibles in the churches. You can tell that their Bibles kind of look like me. Go to a church, go to a regular church. Please. Honestly, I'm trying to help people right here, but whatever you're doing, it's not looking good. If you go to a church, for everyone else that's watching this video, if you go to a church, you'll see that there's a lot of people that look alike each other, that literally look alike. If you go elsewhere, I mean, if people don't look alike in the church, then you have a problem. If you have a church that is people that look beautiful, and then there's one that doesn't look that beautiful, you might want to just pray for that person. This place is meant for people for healing. And then there's also the fact that there's you know, people in the church. I mean, if the church is good. Oh, I wish I could. Oh, I can't delete it. Sorry, I'm gonna have to hide you. Guys, I'm trying to do the right thing. Anyway. Yep. So, anyway. So if you go to a good church, you'll see a lot of people looking alike in some area or another. They always have that beautiful look, and they always look like life. If you go elsewhere, you'll see like broken people with scary faces and not so nice faces. Some faces of beauty that are vain. Some faces of it's really, you have to be sure that you have to be sure that the person that you're looking at is. I don't really mean to look at. I mean, I don't really mean to tell you to look at the book at the cover, but looking at the person like the cover can sometimes really help. I mean, some people are, like I said, really. I mean, not cool, but basically, people are beautiful in some ways or in the other, especially Christian. But then there are those who have been tainted by sins, and those people they're basically vessels of destruction. And I'm going to carry on. Don't worry. And these people, I'm trying to help you guys. And like I said before, this video was meant to help those who are lost, or those who are trying to find the light. If you don't want to listen to me and find the light, you can leave. Dude, are you the same dude? Because right now this is harassment. If you're the same person, I don't know if that's a thing, but please, I don't feel like being harassed. But I also know that what you're doing is letting me go to heaven, because those who are persecuted are actually going to heaven. And those who are lied upon, that's the same thing as people going to heaven, because those who lie for the person. All right. I'm just saying. Sorry about that. I was kind of stressing over the fact that if people are. Oh, sorry, Mike Myers. Sorry, You just asked a question. That's okay. Yes. Weed. It's natural. Weed is natural. It just depends on if weed is really a sin or not. But basically, it makes you look different, which kind of tells me that, well, I'm not going to judge you, but weed is a sin. If you look at if you look at an aspect of vessels of destruction and drunkard, like being drunk is another way for sin to enter your life, and then you being a vessel of destruction. The more sin you let in your life, the more the fact that you're being a vessel of destruction. But let me tell you something. This body will perish. My spirit will carry on. And you know, it's interesting you points out. But basically, once your spirit goes to heaven, it'll be much beautiful and calm there, because there's always people that are not as sainted as with sin. Because the vessel might be more for destruction, but we all have one thing in common. Basically, we're either really vessels fitted for destruction, with our spirit not going to heaven. I'm very religious. Thank you. We're either lost my track of thoughts. We're either vessels fitted for destruction for hell fire, because we do not accept Jesus into our hearts and all that. But also, if we think about basically accepting Jesus into our hearts and Him shaping shaping our minds and shaping our whole, our whole selves and our spirit and body and in truth, we gotta know that this is really, Jesus is at work with He loves us. He does not want us to perish, but sin does a lot of damage to us. It really does. Let me go to a spiritual aspect. Demons possess something very interesting. They possess sin, and sin makes everything look ugly. They can make themselves look pretty in witchcraft, but then they become ugly again because of sin that they created. And Satan was the one that rebelled, and that sin was invented by the devil, who, in the short run, invented sin with his angels. So basically, with a sin, in a sense, the spirits have doorways with sin. Now we don't see the doorways, I mean, this whole room is empty space. Well, Satan does hate you. Just remember that. I've had so many nightmares with Satan. And I think the reason why it seems like he doesn't hate you because God is controlling your life with a lot of battles and with a lot of struggles and battles, and the weaker demons seem to have gone in your life. So not literally in your body, but basically they've been trying to battle the angels out, and you seem to have strong angels. So in that aspect, you haven't been having nightmares, or a lot of people have been harassing you because it seems like you got the average one, and you know they're not the strongholds that you think they are. They're not, you know, that, you know, excuse me, that strong. But also, if you think about it, if people don't hate you, then you're part of the world. That's what the Bible says. I'm sorry to say. But also know that if the world hates you, I mean, look at Mexican Jesus, for example. I'm going to look over here and then look at Sub-Zero and all of his deleted messages. All these messages were of hate, malice against me because he was lying against me, and he was trying to lie so much to me, and all he was doing is he was lying against me. He was trying to point all these things out that are not true. I may be huge, I may be heavy, but obviously that came with a consequence of low thyroid problems and other few minor problems with drugs. I mean, I don't take drugs, prescription pills. I don't take them illegally. I take them legally because I have to take prescription pills for other things. Yeah, he was mocking me. Unless you can't really see your screen. In that order, I'm going to move the screen a little bit. At least you can hear me. But anyway, so if you really if really the demons, I mean, I'm not saying the demons, but if the people really hate you like they hate me, then you can just say that you're God's child. Now, Mike Myers, I see you as a person that really wants to hear the message, and I really love you for this, for what you've done. I'm really happy for you. I don't love you like a gay person, but I'm really happy for you because I'll be praying for you in some ways. Don't worry. So, if you tell me what is going to happen, basically, all you can do is, if you have a family, basically have a job. That's all you can do. Another thing you can do is, I mean, pray to God. Because the thing that doesn't matter is, I know you're probably not going to like me for this, but The Bible does say that money doesn't really matter. It's basically the riches that you know. The funny thing is, Jesus said it in a funny way, but in a really big and interesting way. A rich man came to Jesus, and then Jesus said afterwards, when the rich man wept really hard or really wailed. Later on, basically, Jesus said it's easier for a camel to enter an eye of a needle than to a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. Sorry to say. So just get a job that you can. You can try to survive off of your finances and all that, but pray that God will, take your heart with you, and not just your heart, but basically make your heart and make your spirit His and all that. Okay, well, I have a job. Didn't know what I was going to do after I graduate, but basically, I have a job. I'm a dishwasher, and I mean, life is not all about all the wonderful stuff of the world. I mean, this planet is a perishable planet. Heaven is not. Heaven is much, much better than Earth. It's like infinitely better than the best day of your life. Really is. Heard of it? I heard from one person. Yeah, that was. I mean, yeah. It's just. Let me get back to what I should say. But basically, a vessel is a vessel. And what God meant, I believe, is that vessels fitted for destruction are vessels that are sinful looking. If you want to know what sin looks like, it's really up to you to know what sin looks like. But basically, you see cigarettes as sin, alcohol as sin, and drugs as sin. It's needles, it's dirty looks, and those really horrible looks of sin can really damage your life. They're the Satanists and all that. And then there's always the ugly aspect of sin. That's why Jesus said vessels fitted for destruction. That's why he said that. It's not white people. It's not any other race. It's just vessels fitted for destruction. And of course, if you look at people very, very carefully, I mean, you have to be really careful. You would see that there are vessels fitted for real destruction, and then there's vessels fitted for certain destruction. I mean, outer darkness. Thank you. For the end of the video, there's outer darkness, there's torture cells, and then there's fire, and then there's endless. There's an endless falling, endless pit of destruction. It's all terrible. But remember, we are all people. And no matter what, sometimes you cannot read a person by the cover. But sometimes you can read a person by the cover and say, oh, wow, this person is really scary and I don't want to be near him. But also think, what did Jesus look like when it came to vessels? Wasn't he perfect? But didn't he take all sin? But since he was perfect, he took in all sin. And remember, my last video said he had all this power. He had all this great power compared to what we have. We're nothing compared to his power. But then he took all of it away, and and basically he took on all for sin. Not all of it away, but he came in flesh and still had miracle. He could still do some miracles, but basically he ended up taking the cross, taking in all sin, and losing all of it except for perfection, and he gave us life because he granted life unto us by taking on in all of our sin, so that sin can go in the grave and is no longer. So, in that aspect, vessels, know who you are. Know who accepted Jesus in their know who accepted Jesus into their hearts. Because sometimes when you know these people, who they are, it'll just surprise you how many are on the broad road and how so few are on the narrow road. You'll just be surprised. You really will be. All right, it's good to talk to you, but I'll be done now, okay? Bye.